Money is one of the most misunderstood forces in modern life. Most people wake up every morning believing the same story: work harder, earn more, and someday you'll be rich. Yet the uncomfortable truth is this: many of the richest people on the planet don't work for money at all. In fact, the moment you understand how they think about work, income, and time, you realize they're playing an entirely different game. They don't chase paychecks. They don't trade hours for dollars. And they definitely don't rely on a single source of income to survive. Instead, they build systems that work for them, even while they sleep, travel, or simply do nothing at all. That difference in mindset, not luck, not talent, not even intelligence, is what separates financial freedom from financial struggle. Let's break down exactly what rich people do instead of working for money, and more importantly, how their thinking quietly rewires the way wealth is created.
You will make $1 million within 3 years of your first day of employment at JT Marlin. There is no question as to whether or not you'll become a millionaire working here. The only question is how many times over.
Most people are trapped in a loop they never question. Time goes in, money comes out. You sell your hours to an employer, a client, or a boss, and if you stop working, the income stops too. Rich people see this model as fragile. It's risky.
I hate my job.
It ties survival to energy, health, and time, all of which are limited. So instead of asking, "How much do I earn per hour?" they ask a far more powerful question: "How can money earn money without my constant involvement?" This is where assets enter the picture. Rich people obsess over assets, things that put money into their pocket on a recurring basis. Businesses, real estate, intellectual property, stocks, royalties, licenses, and digital platforms. These aren't just investments, they're machines. Once built properly, they keep producing value long after the initial effort is done. Here's a line that might hit you hard: the rich don't get paid for what they do, they get paid for what they own. Ownership is the real currency of wealth. Owning a company, owning shares, owning systems, owning brands, owning ideas. When you own something valuable, you don't need permission to earn. You don't need approval, and you don't need to clock in. The system works whether you're present or not. Now pause for a second and really think about that. How many hours did you work last week? And what happens if you stop working next week? That gap between effort and income is where rich people live. But here's where things get interesting. Rich people do work. They're not lazy. They're often obsessed with building, improving, and learning. The difference is what they work on. They work on leverage. Leverage is the ability to use something small to create something massive. Money leverage means investing capital so it multiplies. Time leverage means hiring people or building systems so results scale without your direct effort. Technology leverage means using software, automation, or platforms to reach millions with minimal marginal cost. Media leverage means turning ideas into content that earns repeatedly. Poor and middle class thinking says, "I'll work harder." Rich thinking says, "How do I make this repeatable?" Once you see this shift, you can't unsee it. Every wealthy person you study follows this pattern in some form. Entrepreneurs build businesses that can run without them. Investors deploy capital into assets that compound. Creators turn ideas into products that sell thousands of times. None of them rely solely on linear effort. Here's another uncomfortable truth: rich people don't save their way to wealth. Saving is defensive. It protects what you already have, but it doesn't create exponential growth. The wealthy understand that money sitting still is losing value. Inflation quietly eats it away. So instead of asking, "How do I protect my money?" they ask, "Where can I place this money so it grows?" This is why rich people are comfortable with calculated risk. Not reckless gambling, calculated risk. They know that avoiding risk entirely is the biggest risk of all. Playing safe keeps you average. Playing smart creates upside. And here's a line worth repeating slowly: rich people learn faster than they earn. They invest heavily in knowledge, skills, and networks before the money shows up. They read obsessively. They study industries, trends, psychology, and systems. Not because it sounds impressive, but because knowledge compounds just like money. One good insight can change your financial trajectory forever. Ask yourself this honestly: when was the last time you studied money like your future depended on it? Rich people also understand something most people miss: income is not the same as wealth. You can earn a high income and still be broke if your expenses rise faster than your assets. True wealth is what remains when you stop working. It's what continues producing income without effort. This is why many wealthy people live far below their means early on. They delay gratification, they reinvest profits, They sacrifice temporary comfort for long-term freedom. While others upgrade cars, clothes, and lifestyles, the rich quietly upgrade assets. And here's the part that usually surprises people: rich people don't focus on money first. They focus on value. Money is a byproduct. When you solve big problems, create value at scale, or improve systems, money naturally follows. That's why wealthy individuals ask questions like, what problem can I solve repeatedly? Or how can I help more people at once? The size of the reward is directly linked to the size of the value created. If you want to earn more, don't ask for a raise. Ask how to become more valuable. Let's pause here for a moment, because this is where most people mentally check out. It's easier to believe wealth is unfair, rigged, or reserved for others. But deep down, you know this: no one accidentally builds a billion-dollar system. It's intentional, it's strategic, and it's learned. Another thing rich people do differently is how they view failure. Failure isn't shameful to them, it's data. Every mistake is feedback. Every loss is a lesson. They expect failure early because they know success compounds later. Meanwhile, most people avoid failure so intensely that they avoid opportunity altogether. Here's a question worth sitting with. Are you avoiding risks to protect your comfort, or avoiding risks because you don't understand them? Rich people don't avoid work, they avoid pointless work. They ruthlessly eliminate tasks that don't scale, meetings that don't matter, efforts that don't compound. They protect their time because time is the one asset that never comes back. That's why delegation is so powerful. Wealthy individuals outsource low-value tasks so they can focus on high-leverage decisions. If a task doesn't directly grow an asset, they question why they're doing it at all. And yes, this mindset can feel uncomfortable at first. It forces you to confront habits, beliefs, and identities you've carried for years. But discomfort is often the doorway to growth. Now let's talk about one of the most overlooked aspects of wealth: environment. Rich people are extremely intentional about who they spend time with. Not because they're arrogant, but because influence shapes behavior. Conversations shape thinking. If everyone around you is trading time for money, that becomes your default reality. If everyone around you is building assets, suddenly your perspective shifts. This isn't about cutting people off, it's about expanding your circle. Learning from those who are ahead of you. Listening more than talking. Observing how successful people think under pressure. And here's an interesting line to think about: your income often reflects the problems you're exposed to. The bigger the problems you understand, the bigger the opportunities you can see. Rich people also play long-term games. They're patient. They think in decades, not weeks. While most people want quick wins, wealthy individuals build foundations that last. They understand that compounding rewards those who can wait. If you're always chasing fast money, you're usually sacrificing sustainable wealth. Let me ask you something, and be honest with yourself. Are you building something that will still pay you 5 years from now? Another major difference is how rich people use debt. Most people fear debt because they only experience bad debt, liabilities that drain money. Rich people use good debt, leverage that produces more income than it costs. They borrow strategically to acquire assets, not lifestyles. This isn't about reckless borrowing. It's about understanding cash flow. If an asset pays for the debt and still produces profit, the debt becomes a tool instead of a trap. And finally, rich people understand one brutal truth: motivation fades, but systems endure. They don't rely on willpower. They build habits, structures, and rules that force progress. Automatic investments, scheduled learning, delegated operations. Once a system is in place, success becomes predictable. So here's the real question: not, why aren't you rich? But, what systems are you building right now? Because the gap between working for money and having money work for you isn't mysterious. It's methodical, it's learned, and it's available to anyone willing to change how they think. This doesn't mean quitting your job tomorrow. It means changing your direction today. Start small, learn, build, invest, create, own, and remember this one final line, because it might be the most important thing you hear today. Poor people work for money. Rich people work for freedom. The moment you shift your focus from earning more to owning more, from effort to leverage, from short-term comfort to long-term control, everything changes. And the best part, you don't need permission to start.